in Matthew 24, where it says, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved.
Yeah.
Does that mean the days will be less than 24 hours or something else?
No. Okay. That's a good question, though. And that's not a bad conclusion, by the way, because there is in Revelation a mention about how the sun will not shine for a third of the day and stuff like that. So that's not unbiblical to come to that conclusion like, oh, well, maybe this is talking about shortened size of the day. But I don't think that's what Jesus is saying. And let me try to very quickly show you what I think he is saying. Because remember that in Matthew 24, Jesus is very heavily relying on and explaining the prophecy of Daniel. And Daniel, and maybe I should just read this because I've referred to it so many times. Let me read to you Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. When I tell my wife later that I spent this much time talking about the end times, she's going to say, really? Only 2 hours? She's not going to be surprised at all. Okay, Daniel chapter 12. Let me just read the whole thing, but I'll skip a few verses just to kind of get to the main points. And at that time, shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So this is talking about the abomination of desolation, the great war on the saints, which are going to be led by the Jewish people in that time. Not only Jews can be saved, I believe, but I think that's probably the majority are Jewish. And the great persecution against them all the way to the end when there's a resurrection. Those who are found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. That's Revelation chapter 20. So this is a summary here. But then, because of this great time of great persecution, he's shaking in his boots. He's trying to figure out what this means. And he's seeing these visions. I'm just trying to summarize the next several verses. And it says this in verse 7, And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. There's another, this is all throughout the book of Daniel, by the way. Time, times, and a half. There's 3.5. Time, singular. Times, plural. There's 3, and then you have a half. So how long will this great persecution be? 3.5 of something. When he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. From the beginning of the persecution against the saints, the abomination of desolation, the mark of the beast, all that kind of stuff, until it's all finished, is going to be 3.5 of something. And I heard, but I understood not. Of course not. I wouldn't understand it. I've got 4 prophecies now. Daniel, Jesus, and Matthew 24, 1 Thessalonians, and Revelation. And now, after lots of study, I'm like, I think I understand this. So I don't blame Daniel for not getting it. Okay, anyway, that's a side note. I heard, but I understood not. Oh, my Lord, he says, what shall be the end of these things? Like, when is this going to be done? When is this finally over? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white. There, I think, is a reference to the many people who do become believers in that tribulation period, and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. Well, that's super vague. Thanks, God. Can you give me some more details here, right? Well, he's going to give more details. Verse 11, And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay, that is 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years and 7 months. So there's right in the middle of a 6-7 year period. It's 3 years and half of another. It's not exactly half, but it's part of another, right? 3 in part. Okay, verse 12. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,335 days. I did that backwards. 1,305 and 30, but I did it in the modern English. 35, okay. So 1,335 days. So he says, okay, everything's going to be finished in a 3 year and part of another year period. Well, give me more details. Okay, 1,290 days and 1,335 days. And that's all you're going to get. I think what he's saying here is that the Antichrist makes war against the saints for 1,290 days, and something stops him 45 days before Christ returns, and he can't continue. And I think in Revelation we find that to be the vial judgments. I think they're poured out on the earth, and if you look at them, they're poured out on the seat of the beast. They're on his kingdom, there's darkness, and on the people of who have the mark, there's boils, and there's all this stuff. And now how are they going to continue to war against the saints? All the people with the mark have these terrible, awful boils, and they can't see in the kingdom of the Antichrist and all this stuff. And so now we have a good reason why those days might be cut short. There's actually 1,335 days before Christ returns, but he stops the persecution 45 days early at the 1,290 days. That's my thinking on that, although, again, it's a theory, but I think it's a well-founded one based on what we find in Daniel.